Well, hello again, everybody. Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology, back with Kathy Beale to look at more of the immense change and turnarounds that's already happening and that is going to happen more. Anyway, before I do that, yeah, you can find me at louiseeddington.com. All my links are always in the description, but a reminder that my Venus retrograde class begins on the 25th and it's for 7 weeks, 8 calls, and it's going to be amazing because Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde in the same signs at the same time, 2 eclipses, lunar maximum, everything's just extra everything this time, and so the class will be too. Kathy.
I'm Kathy Beale. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian. I have a new series of videos on my channel called Actions You Can Take. And they run from protecting your credit now that data has been leaked, and a series that's rolling out this weekend on managing your energy.
I have to tell you
So
guys, talking of data leaks or data leaks, whichever, um, my business email is getting flooded with right wing, political emails about Doge and things. So I wonder where they got that from, because I'd never use that email to sign up for political things or newsletters or anything other than my work. So how annoying is that? But anyway. All right, let's dive in.
Well,
Let's.
before we get into the astrology, I want to just really briefly, instead of spending 10 minutes recapping the news,
Mm-hmm,
we've said there would be pushback. There
mm-hmm.
is a litigation tracker at a site called uh, justsecurity.org, which is part of an online forum that's hosted by the NYU School of Law. And it shows currently 37 lawsuits at this moment and what status they are and what they're against. There have been a bunch of injunctions already ordered. There's an indefinite, which means basically permanent, injunction against the executive order outlawing birthright citizenship. There has been a delay of the deadline for the buyout of federal workers. There has been a limitation of access to Treasury data temporarily while there's going to be another hearing on blocking it all. And I would expect that all of the lawsuits about what Doge has been doing with cybersecurity will prevail because they violate a federal privacy statute, among other things. The judge has extended the hold on federal funding freeze. Those things. Oh, and also enjoined the order requiring trans women to be housed in male
Mm-hmm.
prisons. So there's a bunch of other stuff going on. Things are happening. And then,
Well,
yes.
there's the Senate filibuster to stop the nomination of Kash Patel, and the Senate, both the Senate and the representatives are kind of trying to storm the buildings, and they're kind of taking a stand. And they say that their mailboxes and voicemails and things are being flooded with calls, like way more, like the volume has just gone wow. So and protests in every state just spontaneously, really, there's no central organization, it doesn't feel, apparently, which feels very of the energy. It's like people are just going, I'm turning up, and then there's other people turning up, and there's spontaneous protests all over the place because people are going, no, we do not want this. And I said it looked like it might be up to the people.
And this is completely playing out the astrology. Venus is now in the sign of Aries, which isn't waiting for someone else to do things for you. It's going after what you want. Venus is in a relationship with Pluto and Aquarius, the masses, intensifying, empowering. As we're recording, the Sun and Mercury are they met today in Aquarius. That brings incredible sharpness of focus and mental clarity. And anything else you care to elaborate on with all of this, Louise?
Yeah, well, I would. And I would like to just go back a few days that Jupiter and Uranus both stationed direct the 30th of January, I think, and February the 4th. So just within days of each other. And I want to add one of my little extras. Just I'll put it in and then I'll take it out. But I've been studying the planetary nodes a little bit. And the Venus star point on June the 4th at 14 Gemini was conjunct the north node of Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of awakening and revolution. So we had Uranus station direct and then Jupiter station direct at 11 degrees Gemini. And look where Uranus north node is as well. And the north node of a planet or is like concentrated energy of the planet, a bit like the moon's nodes, and it's bringing more of it in and in more innovation, more revolutionary, more awakening energy. And I've seen several even representatives say, "Oh, people are waking up." I'm like, yeah, they certainly are. So
As Jupiter stationed direct, it was getting a trine from Mercury, which seems to be playing a role in all of the direct stations lately. So Jupiter's been retrograde for a period of months, and with Mercury greasing the wheels, that is encouraging information to come out that's been brewing in the background for a long, 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 long time. Surge of info.
oh,
And Louise and I were talking and noted that there's been a noticeable uptick in conversation online, especially on YouTube, about the numbers don't work. Look, clearly there was, and I know I'm going to say it and you go, ah, come on, but the votes were manipulated. There was the election was
oh,
fooled with. And that conversation is getting louder and
yes.
louder and louder
It
after these two
is.
planets stationed direct.
And people are kind of doing their own detective work or their own research. I hate that. I know we love that expression, but people are. And Musk's young men that are going in and doing all this kind of hacking stuff. There was a post we were tagged in on Blue Sky about one of the guys who is he was a Harvard graduate, and he created a piece of software called Ballot Proof to basically scan all ballots, take input images of front and back sides of all balances, and uses images to see where people have not filled out boxes properly or not, to kind of, check the ballots. Well, how easily could that be manipulated by these people too? So that's another one. And on the post that we saw it shared on, so these young men are kind of in all these kind of things. They also showed that the ballot correction platform could easily have been, the script could have been generated and zapped into the machines by these extra satellites that Musk is said to have put up for quite close to Earth before the election. So, no definitive proof. So this is all allegedly. But the guy that's been looking at this stuff, this will hold on Blue Sky. He says this is a deepening of this Eton Palantir partnership, and Palantir was involved in all this betting thing before the election, if you remember, and Peter Thiel's involved in that. Anyway, it's all management of large data sets, aka ballots. And he said this was the first time hijacking an election and they way overshot the numbers. So, which is smartelections.us has been doing data analysis from publicly available data, and they are saying the same thing, that the the switch was just crazy, along with all the bomb threats, over 200 bomb threats on election day and things like that. So, for those that were going, oh, Biden threw us under the bus and things, this is so complex. And it was way beyond just a normal ballot audit. They've been planning this, putting it in place. It's just insane.
So
Like the end.
we'll be able to tie this into the current astrology in just a second. But the point of our
we will.
The point of our bringing it up right now is the conversation is getting louder. That is the point. The conversation is getting louder.
And that's a lot to do with those two stationing direct and Mercury's connection to all of that. And so that does bring me to today, or us to today, yes. So Mercury and the Sun are about to be exactly conjunct. They're not quite. And then we're kind of going to, we also had the North Node conjunct Neptune yesterday, late yesterday, which is another big turning point. And often kind of a bit of a revelation kind of energy, I would say, would you?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it as the tide moving and you see what's been floating in the water.
Yeah, exactly. And Mercury and the Sun in Aquarius is kind of pulling all the details together, and it's an air sign, to the conversations getting very loud, as well as the information coming in. So they're actually going to be exactly conjunct on Sunday, early and Eastern time, but they're pretty close now. And then we have, do you want to mention any? There's Venus in Aries, and Venus in Aries has just crossed the point of that next Venus star point when she was in sextile to Pluto. So a lot of change and more is going to come to light during the Venus retrograde, the eclipses, and the Mercury retrograde too.
And there's also like taking to the streets or a warrior level ferocity for sheer survival.
Yes. Yeah. And that, shall we look at that occultation too?
Okay. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on right now.
There is. And they're all big turning points. Most of Mars is still retrograde. And I have talked a lot about out of bounds planets. Well, Mars is at his maximum out of bounds point for this big, long out of bounds that he's in. And he's staying at this out of bounds point for a few days to the 13th. And that's making everything beyond the norm. And also Cancer, that's our sense of safety and security, is under threat. So it's like, okay, what are we going to do about it? It's kind of like the occultation kind of is a bit like an eclipse, a reset. So, and Mars is action. So people are rising up. That's very Mars too. I always think rise up. So yeah, there's so much going on. And all these things are really converging together in big ways.
And
look at
Mars and the moon are trine Saturn when this happens. So that's an easy flow. It's going back and forth and back and forth. So is there containment that's put on the drive to protect what you love? Is what you love then going after the limitation? There are something noticeable will come from this on Sunday.
I think it could also bring more clarity. Saturn can bring that too, a bit like a slap in the face, sometimes, but it's suddenly like, oh, I face the hard truth that this is kind of what's been going on. And so it's got a very, and again, a revelatory vibe, because occultations, like I said, are like eclipses, resets, reveal. Occult means hidden, reveals things that have been hidden. It's also in square to Chiron, and Chiron in Aries is both revealing the core wound, and I'm going to say that it's all these men. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the white supremacist men.
Yes.
This is the
Hmm.
wound. This is the wound. And
It
there not
is.
being a
It
place
is.
for anybody who isn't that.
Hmm. But
I'm thinking that there's going to be something done about that, honestly.
But Chiron's also the key. So, and another way of Aries is taking a stand, and that's people rising up again. So, because Mars is the ruler of Aries, so it's got both, revealing all of this, and we're starting to see it. I mean, they're not really hiding anything anymore.
Not
Let's
anymore.
face it. And they're completely ignoring the rule of law, basically.
Hmm.
I think there was somebody was putting articles of impeachment already for Trump as well,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
that won't do anything at the minute. But it's that kind of energy. People are saying this is not on. You are breaking all the norms, all that out of bounds energy, and I think a revolution is arising, awakening, shall we say, overall.
Hmm.
So I just want to quickly show you where this occultation is. I mentioned it before, but it's so close, and we've tried to tell you all that this is beyond just the US. It's we've looked at Russia, we've looked at Putin. I'm going to have to just reshare again, and NATO, and look where this occultation of Mars is going. It's going over Greenland. Oh,
Oh, gee. Hmm.
and then there's been some stuff going on in the Nordic countries, actually. Well, there was a shooting in Sweden, their biggest mass shooting, to do with immigration. But there's been some other, of course, they have just joined NATO, and they're like, really standing up as well. But look where the majority of this occultation is happening, almost completely over Russia. So that's going to be interesting too. I wouldn't be surprised if some clearer connections are revealed or something like that.
And there was another piece that's going to suggest that. We'll look at that in just a second.
Okay, right, back to charts then. Okay, which chart are we putting up first?
Should we look at the US and all of this, how this fits in?
Yep.
This and then the Leo full moon? Because as we get from this weekend to the middle of next week, there are going to be 3 squares to Uranus and Taurus. The
Yeah.
sun, Mercury, the sun, and then the moon at the full moon. So whatever this Uranus direct business is about, and Uranus has been sitting at this degree since December 20th, and it's not going to fully move off of it until into March. But I've been saying it's like there's a part of the ground that has had lightning or uncomfortable energy zapping it, zapping it, zapping it, and now it's starting to rumble and do things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
look at what's hitting it.
And before I go to the full moon again, I just want to say that occultation is square at the US Chiron, pretty much very close, because it's a big thing anyway, as we're having the Chiron return. So, we are in a crisis and healing crisis. Let's call it that. So, but let's look at that full moon again, which is square to Uranus, as Cassie said. So, am I on the full moon? No, I'm on a conjunction. Sorry about that, everybody. Go back to the opposition, Louise. There we go. So, while Mars is still at its maximum outer bounds, having just been occulted, we have a Leo full moon. Here's the moon, here's the sun, here's Uranus, which is square to the full moon. What do you want to say about and Mercury on?
And on the US moon, which represents the people, and Ceres is in the middle of this as well, and so as Mercury. This is basically forcing a disruption in the normal order of things, forcing a disruption in routine matters. And I will point out, look at Jupiter. Jupiter is almost on the seventh house cusp. It's approaching the area of allies and open enemies. So
And
something's coming out about that.
I'm going to say it's close enough to it too. And don't forget that that north node of Uranus is still there. And the north node of Uranus doesn't move a lot, but it does move. So that's to have that so tight again is revolutionary change. Um, yeah.
And this moon, since it's pulling in the US moon, this full moon, which is on the 12th, is extraordinarily important to our definition of ourselves as a people.
Definitely. And
And
just a little bit more about Ceres and
yeah,
Mercury,
I was
because
going to ask about that.
I might get my book written one day about Ceres. But in the Roman pantheon of the gods, Ceres and Mercury were paired, as in the 12 council of the gods, and they both have this crossing or transitional energy. And so, to my mind, this is another indicator that this is a change of perspective or transition time as well. It just adds to it, It's because they're so close together in this. And if you think about because I always think in these ways, Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, and then Ceres is in the asteroid belt, and I think she's a personal planet personally. So that would make her the outer personal planet in the asteroid belt. And so, they are really about us, the people, again, humanity, about what makes us humanity on this earth. So,
And as we're building to this full moon, remember I mentioned that Mercury and then the sun are going to square Uranus in the sixth house. So they're going to be in the second house of our resources, our values, and there will be revelation after revelation. The image I have for this, those of you who were rogues when you were young, who remembers black cats, strings of tiny, tiny fireworks that boys
oh,
would light and throw in the sewers, and you just hear them going pop, 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 underground. This is like a string of dynamite sticks
it
going off,
is.
going off, going off, and you'll be feeling it this weekend. There could be a first blast. There could be a first blast over the weekend, or maybe a second or a third. But then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, huge, huge, huge stuff.
Mm. And I think some of it is going to come from what feels like dynamite that they are doing. It's just, how we respond to it. And we are responding to it. As we started off with all the litigation and the protests and things like that, people are finally going, oh my God, this is what's happening. And what are we going to do about it? And I have somebody, you know who you are, who sends me some stuff through emails. And he lives in Florida, and he said, he's seeing Republicans start to, who voted for Trump, starting to realize that what was promised in the campaign, shall we say, is not what's happening. So they are waking up too.
Well, and these squares coming out of the second house could be more and more people having an immediate financial hit from
Yes.
all the stuff that's going on as the information gets more and more and more out there.
And
And
the
it's not your
property
truth.
market,
You don't believe it's true until it happens to you, and then you really
you
believe it.
don't. And the property market in Florida, which always seems to be one of the first to go, is very rocky apparently too. So, things are a bit rocky. And so look, Kathy is doing the series of advice about protecting your data and your finances, because if they have their way, people won't be getting tax refunds either. I don't think that'll hold, but we'll see. That's what people are afraid of. So, just take. I don't believe in curling up in a ball in fear. And AOC did. I saw another interview with her, and she said they're not going to have my fear. And I think that's such a great way of looking at it, because that's what they want. Yeah. So,
Well, should we, there are two people's charts we could pull into this. What order do you think we should do?
oh gosh, who's, well,
Did you put her chart in?
I did. Shall we look at the
Okay,
ICC? Hmm.
could be
Okay.
interesting. Her chart in, okay,
Hmm.
so this is the president of the International Criminal Court. Why do we bring this up, you say? Well, a couple of reasons. We've repeatedly said information is going to come from overseas that has a big impact on all this. And there was just an executive order sanctioning the ICC. Isn't that interesting? Huh, why would that happen? Why would he bother to do that? Well, looking at the president's chart could give you a hint.
I
This
will
is,
get that up while we look at the transits to her chart too. Just
notice that
quickly.
warrior goddess Venus is right on her midheaven. Right now, she is fired up, and we're looking at her as like the representative, the embodiment of the
Mhm.
court. So she's
And,
fired up to take action.
and Venus stations retrograde on March the 1st and moves back into the ninth house of courts and
Courts.
the law. So, just saying.
And
All right.
look at,
So
well, no,
oh,
can you go
you want
back
me?
one more time? Come back one more time.
Yeah.
I just want to
Hmm.
point out where the full moon is in her chart.
Oh, let me go back to that full moon. I didn't get the
Yeah.
full moon chart up itself, so I could
Oh,
easily get
okay.
it.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I've done it. There you go.
So notice that the full moon is straddling her house of the money houses. The second house,
Mhm,
personal resources; eighth house, other people's money, loans,
mhm,
criminality. And
mhm.
notice that the moon is really, really close to her. Oh, looky, Pluto.
And I think it's even closer due to the fact of, all the aspects, and Uranus's big energy when it's turns around as well. And, that can also be, her providing a shock. She was probably shocked by by the sanctions, but she's not going to bow down. Pluto. Mm-mm.
Something's going to come out, maybe a couple of things, but I have a theory as to what will come out, and you'll see that when you look at her chart
His,
over his chart.
yeah. So I saw
We need to put,
somebody.
we need to put the full
Sorry.
moon over his. Do we need to put the full moon chart over his chart first, or do
Okay,
we
I
do
could
her
do.
first?
Yeah, no, I could do either way. I can swap them around as much as you like. I love this software for that. But so this is the full moon chart around the outside, Trump in the middle for everybody. So it's heading back to his midheaven. Uranus is. But anyway, so the full moon is on his Mars, and um, yeah, and square his midheaven. That's a very tense full moon for him.
This is a transformative full moon for him because it's activating that wrecking ball potential of Uranus. Uranus has already moved across his midheaven twice, and it's heading there for a third time. And this has, it's like the theme from Jaws, but with a, this is setting something off with incredible oomph. And
Mm,
I don't, there are other things that have been blowing up that part of his chart using other forecasting techniques. I
mhm.
don't see how he gets past this one. All right. Everyone says, oh, he's Teflon. Yeah, historically, I don't see how he gets past this one. That because Uranus is in his house of foreign dealings, it's in his house of litigation. And when you put the chart of the president of the ICC over it, I will not be surprised if there are not revelations coming out of the ICC.
Because as somebody said in one of these threads about all the election interference and the ICC, somebody's just said, I bet the ICC file on him is interesting. I thought, oh, that's putting it mildly.
And with Venus on her midheaven, it's time to act. And
Mhm.
her Pluto is on his ascendant and Mars. So she's part of this propelling, her behind the scenes power is part of this propulsion
Mhm.
of Uranus slamming into his midheaven again.
And she was born very shortly after a new moon, and that's pretty much on his Mercury too. So, kind of uh, that's a strong connection for contracts, cases, things like that, shall we say?
And her Venus is on his Venus.
Oh,
Exactly.
oh my God, so exactly by
And
million.
I'll point out that her Mars at 5 Leo is
Mhm.
trining, transiting Venus at 4 Leo, which is on her midheaven. This is a moment for her to take action against a leader. And her Mars is conjunct Uranus. Something's gonna explode coming out of the ICC.
And Mars did station retrograde on her Uranus, so this Mars and on her Mars really, and so this Mars retrograde is affecting her a lot as well, I think. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Well, it's affecting all of us, but
But
her
this
quite
is
a lot.
propulsion. This is
Yes.
propulsion.
Yeah. I was just seeing if I see anything else. Yeah, my work with the Venus star point tells me that we had the first Libra star point. Libra being one of the many meanings of Libra is about courts, justice, scales of justice, things like that. Justice is blind. And the first Libra star point for over 100 years in 2022 was right on her Neptune. It's almost, I've talked about it with other charts before. It's almost like her spiritual mission in
Mhm.
life has been ignited, whatever you want to call it. Hmm.
Those are exactly the words I would have used.
Hmm. Yeah. So, it's he probably made a mistake doing that, I think. Let's put it that way.
So where I get out of this is that all of us who've been saying it's going to come back from Europe, we're about to get vindicated. And it
I
could
think
involve
so.
everything. It could involve everything. And because the occultation is going over Russia, the ties to Russia, Russia's role in various things, Russia financing stuff. And if you look at the actions that are happening right now in this administration, dropping the DOJ section that has been investigating the Russian oligarchs, dropping the
Mm,
section that has been investigating unregistered foreign agents, why? Why would you do that? Trying to
I
obliterate the CIA? Why would you do that?
I know. It's wild.
Who does it benefit? Well, I think the stuff that got sat on in the Mueller report is about to be revealed. And my phone just dinged, so yes, I'm right.
I love that. And perhaps more about the documents case. I wonder if somebody will leak um Jack Smith's other report.
Could be, or maybe the ICC has information about the allies whose secrets were sold. We'll
Yeah,
just say
because this is all so clear that this has been such a multi-pronged kind of, attack. Um, all the things we've looked at are kind of coming together. The tech bros, I've been and Kathy's watched some of them as well, have been uh, coming together to kind of coordinate a lot of this, because I don't know if you guys are aware that the tech bros, Musk and Teal and all those people, really have these kind of dreams of corporation run little cities, you know, uh, dismantling the governments and creating that. And I kind of feel like Musk and those guys kind of dived in, and Trump and they're using each other because that's what these people do. And, you know, and Trump is kind of thinking he's keeping himself out of jail, and he's greedy. So, you know, doing whatever, he's like kind of, yeah, you do that, and that works for me. And then Gaza, he's come out with that little peach as well, you know. And how would that be for one of their first, you know, tech countries or something?
So for all of you out there who are like hyperventilating or screaming or anything, notice that there's so much nonsense being thrown out. It can't all work. I would say the huge percentage, 80% maybe, of the executive orders are blatantly unconstitutional. Things are getting blocked in courts. Yes, it's a matter of time. Yes, damage is being done, but Mars is retrograde. A lot of this will be undone, and this particular pace is designed to overwhelm you, to exhaust you, to freak you out. Couple of things here. You must take breaks. You must sequester yourself periodically. You must get your energy back. I've got little videos going up this weekend that will give you tips on how to do that at the Professional Aquarian channel. Your
And
own
I write about it on my Substack all the
all the
time.
time, all the time. There are things you can do. It's really important for you to step out of it, clear yourself, and then you have a more of a sense of what it is that's important, and pick your battle. You may have one or two pet interests. Make those yours. Trust that there are other people in the brigade who are fighting other battles. No one person can fight all of them. And if you really want to feel better about things, there are 3 personal Instagram accounts I encourage you to follow. One of them is AOC's personal Instagram account. Another one is Eric Swalwell's personal Instagram account. And the third is Chris Murphy's personal Instagram account. And Murphy has all kinds of things about just going through it and going, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is what's important. And he's using the word bullshit. And I find that very, very refreshing. People have no
I
F's
do.
left. And it's okay if you don't, but you need to replenish yourself. It's
Oh,
critical. This is going to
we
go
we
on for a while.
we replenish ourselves. And somebody says, how can you laugh, you know, on these videos? And I can laugh because some of it is so ridiculous, and because I replenish myself. I self-regulate on a daily basis. I can face it. I can go and read the news and not fall apart and freak out, because I make it a focus to self-regulate, which is AOC's message, it's Cassie's message, it's, you know, it's crucial. You know?
And consider this. The attention we have focused on this one individual for so many years has been feeding him. We have been
Oh,
feeding him energetically. It's time to starve him. Now, I'm not saying put your head in the sand, periodically pop up, go, oh, that's there. Pick your battle. Don't focus on him 24/7. Find things in your life that you love and hang out there.
and then download the app. What's it called? 5 calls or 3 calls? Was it
Five
anyway?
calls, five
Five
calls.
calls. 5 calls. It takes you immediately to the number to call your representatives. You could do that every day. Leave a message, just quickly leave a message, then do nothing else for the rest of the day if that's all you can do. Or you can go, we've talked about it before, local communities. A lot of those are starting to suffer because of some of the things he's attempting to do. Find out where you could maybe go and volunteer a little bit, or maybe send a donation. You know, there's a million things you could do that aren't necessarily by about just watching the news all the time and freaking out. Because, as Kathy said, half of these orders are never going to be carried out. They're designed to cause chaos. So.
And Venus in Aries is lighting everybody's fire. You've got moxie, you've got gumption, you've got bravado. You'd be surprised what you have the power to do. This is absolutely counteracting any impulse to collapse in a fetal heap on the floor. Now, if you need to do that now and again, I'm not talking you out of it, but
No,
know that there's
just don't
firepower
stay
in
there.
all of us. Just don't stay there. There's firepower in all of us. And maybe you
Yeah.
take a breather and somebody else is carrying the torch for a while, but we're all torch bearers. All of
And
them.
I want to quote the title of Glennon Doyle's book, We Can Do Hard Things. You can. We've done it before. Most of us have been through trials, to, bad times, and you can surprise yourself sometimes with how resilient you can be and what you can do. But self-regulation first. And if part of that is dropping down into a ball on the floor for a little bit, having a good cry, and then going for a walk or something, getting yourself back up and just taking one small action. you know? Oh, I guess some of us have been doing that for a lot longer, the self-regulation. So it's like we keep doing it so we can keep looking at this. So yeah, but you can do it too. I know you can. So what other chart were we going to look at?
I think that was it.
That was it. We looked at the USAs, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have done. Yeah, that's it for today, folks. Keep watching the news or watching these videos. Don't watch it 24 hours. I will say, I'm quite impressed that finally, at least Rachel Maddow, I don't watch MSNBC endlessly, but I have noticed that she is talking about these tech bros that Musk is bringing in and talking about the other things they've done. I haven't heard her mention this ballot software yet, which is weird. But anyway, it's, the news is starting to talk about it, and they're reporting some of the protests. They're having Chris Murphy on quite often.
Fine with me. My new crush.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kathy and I both have a bit of a crush on him. But I'm married, so she can.
I'll hold the torch for us both.
Oh, and sorry for laughing, everybody. I know some of you
No,
are
I'm not.
really
I'm not sorry for laughing at all. You need to laugh. You need to laugh. Jody
well,
mentioned laughing and crying, it's all the same release. Okay, so
my pinned post on Blue Sky is joy is an act of revolution. So, and I truly believe that, because you can't let them kill your joy. You cannot let them do this to you, because that's what they want. So,
and joy begets joy, begets joy, begets joy,
it does.
begets joy.
So till next time, we're still going to keep doing these once a week, and maybe occasionally more if a lot's happening. So we'll play that by ear. So bye for now.
Bye.